से अधिक इस्लामिक मुल्कों ने 3 तलाक को नियंत्रित किया एक प्रकार और दूसरे प्रकार से, तो हिंदुस्तान एक सेकुलर मुल्क है, ऐसा क्यों नहीं कर सकता? करना चाहिए।
Heated debate in the Lok Sabha yet again. This is regarding triple talaq. The law minister asking if Islamic countries have outlawed the practice, why can't India? The opposition hits back saying if the government really cared about minorities, why is there no action against mob lynching? Supreme Court directs the centre to set up exclusive courts in every district where there are at least 100 POCSO cases pending, and this to be done within the next 60 days. The outrage in Tamil Nadu with respect to the EWS category on the cutoff marks for the State Bank of India exams. They are way lesser than that of the SC/ST quota, barely at 28.5. Preeti Sports Management, which is a company part owned by cricketer MS Dhoni, has denied any wrongdoing in its transactions with the Amrapali Group after auditors said that it entered into sham agreements with the Amrapali to divert the home buyers' money. As uncertainty that continues in Karnataka politics, the Congress say that they will wait for Rahul Gandhi to decide the fate of the party in the state.
मेरी आंगनबाड़ियों में कहीं भी ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि शौचालय में रसोई बने। आंगनबाड़ी में जब लाइट नहीं है तो शौचालय कहां से आ जाएंगे?
This is the disgusting truth about Anganwadis that has been exposed once again, and this is in Shivapuri in Madhya Pradesh, a defunct toilet which is used as a kitchen to cook for children. The state government though says nothing to worry about. After working for Mumbai Indians for 9 seasons, former South African cricketer Jonty Rhodes applies for Team India's fielding coach. You are with the big story at 2 p.m. I'm Seher Zama. In the top focus this afternoon, the State Bank of India that sees itself in a controversy because it released the results of its recent recruitment exam and the cutoff list. The SBI released the results there for exams, preliminary results which showed the cutoff marks for the EWS quota to be just 28.5. And it is much lesser than that for the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribe quota. What is also more disturbing here that the method by which the authorities have calculated this figure, this cutoff for the EWS, is not being reviewed. The DMK chief M.K. Stalin, which is the opposition in the state of Tamil Nadu, now has hit out saying that the low cutoff is a brutal form of injustice. Also, this has been raised in Parliament as well. This issue echoing in the centre. The DMK MP Kanimuri moved an adjournment motion in Lok Sabha over the quota row, alleging that this will deprive the youngsters, those youngsters who belong to the SC, ST, OBC sections, from employment, central government and public jobs. This is yet another controversy regarding the EWS category. We're also asking, should the centre make a clearer roadmap for this new 10% category, wherein which all states could be applying, could be implementing this without controversy. Let's get in further inputs. We're going to throw this open to our panelists in, this afternoon in just a bit. But first, those details coming in from our correspondent Pramod with those details here. Pramod, while we speak with you, we're playing out the image there that the SBI has released the cutoff list, the EWS, which is at 28.5. It is way lesser than what the SC/ST segment has been listed for the OBC category as well. This would mean that the EWS would be put on an unfair advantage in this examination then.
Well, it definitely seems that way because we just got information and we also cross-checked that even visually impaired, their cutoff mark has come up to 65.75. That is the cutoff mark for visually impaired who have taken the SBI examinations. Since the information about this particular examination is not on the open sources, we had to only depend on bank officials' information who have claimed that of the 8,500 jobs, 425 are from the state of Tamil Nadu, for which this cutoff mark has been provided for each section. For the OBC and SC categories, it is 61.75, whereas it is for the economically weaker section category, it's falling under 28.5%. Now, as nobody exactly knows how many people have actually enrolled under EWS category, they are finding it very difficult for them to actually find out how this cutoff mark was completely derived at. But very unfortunate that even visually impaired cutoff mark is way higher. It's like 65.75 for them, and the actual people who are training for examinations, they are finding it very difficult because in the open source there is no actual information about the conditions, norms as to what are the categories that comes under the EWS category. In fact, certain instructors have also informed us that people who also fall under EWS category have gone ahead and enrolled themselves under general category. So there is a huge debacle, and this has become a taking point for the politicians in the state of Tamil Nadu, especially MK Stalin, who is considering this as an attack on social justice.
All right, those are strong words, of course, that have come in from the DMK here, spearheading the opposition there in the state, saying that the state government would need to relook into this. Stay with us, Pramod, please. Let's in fact get in further details. We have spokesperson of the DMK, Mr. Sarvanan, with us. We also have Mr. G.S. Mani, advocate of the Supreme Court. Appreciate you being with us. Mr. Sarvanan, we've had your leadership, of course, been entirely opposed to this. Where do you think this confusion, this miscalculation, what exactly is causing this? Do you think that the centre should have, right at the start of this, when they proposed the quota for the EWS across the country, should have also provided a clearer roadmap?
As per the view of the party, this quota, EWS quota, is a constitutional fraud. The constitution does not permit for economically backward people to be provided with the reservation. It is the socially and the educationally backward people who can get the reservation that is mandated by the constitution. And our leader, Mr. A. Raja, has saying the same thing, saying this EWS quota inside the parliament also, the problems,
issues that arises have been highlighted. The main point is being this is a challenge before the Supreme Court. When there is a challenge before the Supreme Court, the constitutionality of this challenge, why the central government is trying to enforce this? Why can't they wait for some more time? And look at it, this is a joke. EWS people, if they just get 28.5 marks, they are eligible to get a seat. See, if you look at the people who are working in central institutions and public sector undertakings, it is still the OC category who are ruling the roost. In central institutions, all the institutions, even after implementation of the 27% reservation, we are not able to get social justice. There is no equality in the court. And look at now this 10%. Where are they going to provide this 10%? The Supreme Court has clearly mandated that the reservation should not go beyond 50%. Now the reservation has gone beyond 50%. And
right.
How are they going
but the Supreme Court has also said, with a bunch of petitions that are lying there to relook into the centre's decision, the Supreme Court has asked for further time. This doesn't mean that in the intermediate period there's been put a hold on this by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has made it very clear, as per instructions by the central government, the EWS quota should continue till further hearings, till the Supreme Court further takes into account what really are the problems coming into play in its implementation. Let's get in Mr. G.S. Mani with us as well, advocate with the Supreme Court. Mr. Mani, we're getting in various instances. We had seen the EWS quota controversy in the state of Maharashtra as well. That was on another note, whether or not colleges were prepared this admission season to be increasing seats, whether or not they were infrastructure ready or not. And this is a controversy of an entirely different kind in the state of Tamil Nadu. Do you feel that the Supreme Court would need to look into this urgently? Because these are hiccups across states here for a lack of a roadmap which was not provided by the centre.
See, first of all, I don't want to get into the controversy issue of SCBI, this EWS quota, this marks fixed and all.
SBI.
But that is nothing to do with the, I can say that may be nothing to do with the 10% maximum limit of the 10%, the EWS quota reservation provided to the economically backward section. Amending it's a constitutional amendment. See, I want to point out that a Supreme Court not made the binding order restricting 50% reservation, even in Indira Sani case or Nagaraj case. Supreme Court never or ever made a binding judgment. It may be a obiter dicta, we can say. Further, the Parliament have got every right to amend the Constitution. Accordingly, the Parliament amended the Constitution. So the 10% maximum limit, state of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka not implemented this 10% reservation quota. The reservation 10% is cover the unreserved people. See, the unreserved category people, they may be in the upper caste. The person who is not getting benefit of the benevolent provisions reservation under the Constitution, the SC, ST, OBC, BC, MBC, and other reserved people, other than the reserved people.
Mr. Mani, you of course justifying this along the lines of social justice. This is for the cause of social justice. But specifically, let's look at the case that we're discussing, the SBI examination preliminary cutoff list, the calculation, the cutoff for each category. How do you justify 28.5 for the EWS, the SC/ST being much higher, 56.5, 44.7. Do you not think this is an unfair advantage to the EWS?
I'm sorry. I'm again and again saying I'm sorry. I don't want to get into this SBI cutoff marks because I don't know on what basis these cutoff marks fixed. I am talking about the benevolent provisions. The 10% reservation, maximum limit of reservation, brought by the central government, because the 10% reservation itself is a social justice. See, the political parties, some political parties, they are claiming that, see, the socio-economic, the social backwardness only can be a criteria for getting benefit of reservation. That is what they claim. The economical backwardness cannot be a criteria for getting the reservation.
Mr. Mani, but we will need to get into specifics here because one needs to look out how this 10% EWS is going to be implemented across the country in different categories. One will need to get into these specifics and thrash it out. Let's get in those details from our correspondent Pramod. Pramod, any further inputs with respect to how the SBI has calculated this?
Well, that's where the actual confusion arises, because nobody exactly know how SBI has brought in this cutoff marks calculation. In fact, when we spoke to analysts, they claim that the general formula is that, like, if 1,000 people are applying for this examination, and if they want 10% of them to go for the next examination, they will categorically only choose 100 people, and of that 100 people, the least person who has taken the number of marks, that is, even if it is 30%, that will become the cutoff, and that will how they go. Even that is actually pretty confusing, because the cutoff marks method itself is like varying from state to state, and the general thing we know for so far is that, like, the number of people who have applied under the EWS quota, if it is lesser, this will also go, the cutoff marks might also go lesser. That's the problem, because without proper kind of norms, regulations or conditions, examinations has been held, and that's the reason the cutoff marks for even SC scheduled caste is like twice higher than the economically weaker section.
Right. Mr. Saravanan, apart from the DMK, there have been other opposition parties in other states as well. We've seen how this has played out even in the state of Maharashtra, where it was applied prematurely despite infrastructure not being available. But because it was made clear by the central government that this admission season itself, this will need to be applied, do you think that the centre should be sending in guidelines? Because there was an assurance that came from the central government that we will make those changes as and how required. And these are examples on how there are hiccups being faced on its implementation.
The central government is hell-bent on playing vote bank politics. They subscribe, they cater. See, there is this criticism, there is this accusation that BJP is a party which caters to the upper caste Hindus. This EWS has cemented that is their heart lies in the welfare of the upper caste Hindus than anybody else in the country. And that is why they are doing this. See, why can't they wait? They have brought in the bill. Why can't they wait without bringing in proper guidelines? It is before the Constitution. See, you said that the Supreme Court has not granted any stay, but the constitutional propriety required. And when we say this is a constitutional amendment, it is very clear by the Kesavananda Party's judgment that the basic structure of the Constitution cannot be amended, even by a constitutional amendment. That is, we are in a constitutional democracy. In such a situation, this EWS quota, without testing, without being tested by the court, without judicially reviewed, I think it should not be implemented. Yes, they made their point before the election. They wanted to use this as an election trump card. They have used it. But at least right now, they should have some propriety and ensure it passes the judicial scrutiny, then it should be implemented. If the Supreme Court says this is valid, because earlier the Supreme Court has struck down that economic criteria cannot be the basis for any reservation. In such a situation, I think we should not allow it. And that is why our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has opposed it.
Right. Okay. Pramod, have we gotten any word here from the SBI, since this is just the preliminary stage that we're looking at? Any word from the SBI on further clarity here on this? Could there be changes to this?